remembering when you were that little person, the little version of you, remembering when like that little person had the biggest dreams, the biggest and wildest ideas. You believe in that little girl that was once you, that little girl that's still inside you. I don't think she'll let you rest or be at peace until you make good on those dreams, at least one of them, right? And then somewhere along the road, all of that stopped, or you stopped dreaming in the way that you did as a kid, because when you were a kid, you truly felt with every fiber in your being that what it was you thought of was possible. Whether that was you thought you can fly or you can be something or somebody, that was always possible when you were a kid. And then somewhere along the road, you stopped believing, right? And maybe you never taken the time to revisit or reconnect with that part of you. And we often look at forgiveness as for other people, forgiving other people to help ourselves. But what about forgiving ourselves, right? Forgiving ourselves for not being who we thought we would be as a kid. And maybe you have done those things, but maybe there's that one thing that you just didn't do yet. But you never held space or made space for yourself to forgive yourself, because maybe you judge yourself for not doing those things or not being exactly where it was you envisioned yourself being at this particular time and moment in your life. And forgiveness can help you, but you got to remember first, right? It takes that reconnection, forgiving yourself for losing touch with yourself, right? And allowing yourself permission to reconnect with yourself. And remembering who was that little person, right? My oldest nephew, he asked me if I remembered my dreams as a child. And he said it in a way like he didn't want to be intrusive. But I'm like, or put too much pressure on me. And I'm like, there's no pressure whatsoever. Of course I remember. And I've always been a storyteller, right? Before I knew that storytelling, I thought I wanted to be like a lawyer or a teacher. Those were like the popular things to do. But the more I developed and my personality developed, I was always telling stories and performing. I would put on, like in middle school, I put on a play inspired by Moesha. That was my show. And I remember pausing, like I would record it on VHS, pause and write down the words that they would say from a scene, and then give out scripts to my little cousins and give them roles and turn literally a scene from Moesha into a full-on production with my little cousins when I was in middle school. And I would have them come over to my house for rehearsals. Like, it was a big deal. I love them for allowing me to do this. I know I probably was a pain in a butt to them, but my grandmother, I reached out to her and she said I had her bake. And when she came to the event, I sold her baked goods. I sold tickets to my family, like to my aunts and everybody else, for them to come to my play. Like, this was a real big deal. And it just continued. Like, when I got to high school, I did drama, and it was so necessary for me in that moment in my life, because my parents had divorced and the household became separated. And for me at that time, that was major, because that my normal had been restructured, like, and out of nowhere. It just changed everything I knew at my whole life. How it was one way for, we're talking middle school, right? Had just, like, my parents dropped that bomb on me. So the dynamics of my family changed. And as I was going through this transition period, I also transitioned to different schools. Like, I went to South Plainfield High School. I grew up in Plainfield, and I thought I would be with my friends in high school, and that was not the case because we were moving. So I went to South Plainfield High School for like a week or two, and then transferred to Westfield High School. And they've all had their different challenges, but it was those moments in Westville High School that were really tough. I was the only person of color, the only girl too. And out of one class, out of my 2 years at that high school, that was it, right? Two classes out of that. And there was no one else, no other person of color in my classes. And there was just a lot. It's a very affluent town. If you are not familiar with it, the energy is different. And at that time, it was very racist. Like that racial tension was big. And because of the privilege that the people had, they were very free, free with their freedom of speech and expressive. So there was a lot that fortified me into dealing with different people from different spaces from going to that school. But drama was my escape because I didn't have to be me, right? And that's where the arts and storytelling came into place. After that, I just developed. I went to university and I studied theater freshman year. And then I was a stage manager and realized how much I loved being behind the scenes, and went into film and television production and directing and producing documentaries. And then somehow adulting, right? Hearing all of these things towards the end of school, after my internship, actually, I interned at NBC Philadelphia, and I had to make it the experience I wanted to make it, right? I left from the area the department they put me in. The guy was completely frank with me the first day, and I was so grateful for it. He was like, I'm gonna be honest, the most you'll do is get everybody a coffee, because I was asking, when do I go out in the field for a story? And he was like, that probably won't ever happen during your internship here. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not gonna work. So I gave myself my own tour of the facility, and I remember coming across this black man. He was short, but it stood out because I hadn't seen anybody really of color as I was walking through. And I believe his name was Daryl. We're just going to go with it for the story. So Daryl just had this energy that was so infectious. So I get to talking to him, ask him about the department that he was overseeing. And it was called Tape Town. And that's where the editors were. And unbeknownst to me, partially at that time, no, I believe I knew, because this had to be my junior year, that I loved editing. That is like one of my favorite parts of the film scene. And that's where his department was. So I asked him if I could stay there. I told him like where they put me and that I didn't want to do that and I would love to be in his department. And he said sure. He told me I would still be bored probably because I would be logging like analog tapes, and I was like, that is absolutely fine. So anyway, I let him know then that I wanted to see, like, he's like, what do you want to get from this experience? What would you like to do? And I said, I want to see a live show, like a live taping. Long story short, me expressing that to him then in that moment, he remembered, and right towards the end of my internship, one day he just says, they're allowing 3 interns to sit in on a live show. And he presented it to me, and there was another guy there in that department. And he was like, are you still interested? I said, absolutely. So I jumped in on it. The other guy did, and it was one other intern that wasn't from that department. It was from a different department, but I loved it. It was everything, high energy. It was just fast paced. It gave me back to like when I did stage managing, and you just see what they do how they pivot when a mistake happens, because it happens, right? And after that, I was like, to get one of those positions, that would take so long in my career. And I just I knew that's not what I wanted to do. And talking to other editors, because I was making my own, paving my own way while I was there, I spoke to other editors, and they told me like they had multiple jobs. One lady was like, she raised her child on a cutting room floor. I was like, if I ever have a kid, that's where I got to raise my kid, on the cutting room floor. It just sounds so cool. And I was like, that's how I want my child to be raised. But I figured out then that I didn't want to do this. And like HBO was where I wanted to go. It was HBO or TBS. And TBS was in Atlanta, and I was down to go and relocate. But I did not pursue either avenue after that. I kind of like gave up on that lane of storytelling out of nowhere. I guess just the pressures of work when you get out of school, and if I wanted to be that what they call struggling artist, and everything would be entry level and all of these things. So I just somehow fell into social work. Like, a friend at the time was working at a residential facility for all boys with mental and behavioral health challenges, and I got a position there and never left the field of social work since. Like, I wind up committing, I think, in New Jersey I did maybe 10 years. I'm not even certain. I started, I believe, in '08. Yeah, and finished in started '07 actually, and finished in 2018 is when I took my cap off, took my cape, should I say, took my cape off. But nonetheless, I had hit a moment of when I lost touch, lost contact with the little girl in me, my inner child, some may call it, right? She and I had not had conversations. We hadn't reminisced. We ain't hang out. Like, we didn't schedule no play dates. It had been a minute, years, decades, let's say that. So when I finally took that time to do that, that's when I, like, different parts of, and how it would happen would be me tapping into new creative things, right? Whether it be digital art or painting or things like that. Even painting, just using the hands and things that we would do as a kid, and playing in dirt when I started gardening. And those would be brief moments of like spending time with her, chilling with her. And when we do those things, especially using our hands, and it's certain things we can do, certain activities that you can do to reconnect. And if you're confused and you don't know where to start, like, Eb, I want to do this. How do I reconnect with her? I know I've been out of contact with her. I know it's been so long. I know she and I need to have a conversation. I just don't know how to have that conversation, when I'm going to have that conversation. I need help with having that conversation. Fruits of Ali is here for. We are here as your community, your family, and your support to help guide you back home to yourself. And a way to get back home to your true self is through your little person, the little your inner child. You can learn more, visit fruitsofali.org, and you can comment in this video if you are very familiar with that pause moment in life where you lose contact, but then you pivot and you reconnect. If you've reconnected and you are on that journey of reclaiming your power and your purpose and your voice, leave a comment and share how has that journey been for you? Where are you on that journey? Love and light.